Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, January 16th, 2024. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, his locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give Brian a call today. See what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You know who's probably having a better Positive Tuesday than anybody else?
Who?
If you are both a Packers fan and a Donald Trump fan, you're having a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that race in Iowa, it was like over in 26 minutes. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's just great. So we do have a few things to talk about today. There was a tragic collision that claimed a life in Barron County, which I believe is the first traffic fatality of the year. We had an insider story, man facing burglary charges in Barron County that was actually arrested in Missouri. That was an interesting story. A couple other things, but as always, we start with sports. We usually do two questions. You know, you have a question, I have a question. But since it was just the playoffs, 6 games, I figured we'd just go through each 6 real quick, like a minute on each one, and just kind of get your biggest surprise or takeaway. I should also, by the way, you were off last week. Give a shout out to Mike Schaefer for stepping in, as always, to fill in for you.
That's right.
Yeah, so thank you, Mike, for doing that.
He's a great guy.
He is. I like him so much. All right, so we're just going to run down through the 6 playoff games. And what was your biggest surprise here? The Texans beat the Browns 45-14. I think you and I both had the Browns on that one. Whoops. What was your biggest surprise there, or your biggest takeaway?
I mean, it just that the Browns lost by that much. I mean, the Texans looked really good. I mean, that one's just, yeah. I mean, it was just, I think Joe Flacco was the story. Everybody wanted him to win, and he didn't win, and that's what sucks. But Stroud's awesome quarterback. I mean, he really showed it. 45 points in a playoff game is a lot.
Yeah, and that's my biggest takeaway / surprise was an Ohio State quarterback, not just a rookie. But there's only one Ohio State quarterback in the NFL right now outside of C.J. Stroud, and that's Justin Fields for the Bears. And I looked this up this morning because Ohio State quarterbacks have never had – it just doesn't pan out in the NFL. You know, there's only one starting quarterback I don't think Justin Fields hit this number yet this year that has had 40 starts in the NFL that was an Ohio State quarterback. Do you know who that was?
No.
Mike Tomczak. He was undrafted, played for the Bears and the Packers. But historically, Ohio State quarterbacks don't pan out. So the fact that he's a rookie and from Ohio State, that was the biggest surprise and takeaway. That dude looks like he's been in the league for 20 years.
Yeah, he looked good.
He did. The next one was the Chiefs and Dolphins, which apparently most people couldn't watch. I happen to have Peacock because I wanted to watch like the new Monk movie or something. So I had a chance to watch it, but the Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7. Biggest surprise or takeaway from that?
That the NFL should never have a national game on a station like that. It was dumb. That was the story because no one watched it.
Apparently everybody did. It was like the most viewed streaming game ever. Yeah.
I mean, it was cold. You know, I didn't watch it because I don't have Peacock, so I don't know much about it. I know Kansas City was going to win. I was hoping Miami would, but
me too. Didn't. Yeah. The biggest, there really wasn't a surprise here. And if you're surprised that the Chiefs won, then you're not paying attention. The Dolphins, or Tagliavola, is now 0-5 in games under 45 degrees. It's a Florida team. They're not going to win a playoff game. So there really wasn't much of a surprise there, but you're right. That really was the biggest story. The average fan couldn't even watch it because it was on Peacock. Who has Peacock? Like, I just did like 3 weeks ago, and I'm just doing it for a month. It just happened to be, right. The game was on. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll watch it.
I see that a lot of TikToks are saying, don't forget to cancel your Peacock now that you paid your $6.
All right, so the next one up here. And anyone that's watching, what is your biggest takeaway surprise from all the first round of the NFL games? The Lions and Rams, this is the only game I didn't watch, and it looks like that was probably the best game of the whole weekend. The Lions 24-23. What was your biggest surprise or takeaway from that game?
I just hadn't realized it's been since 1991 that the playoffs – I mean, since the Lions won, I mean, that's crazy. That's a lot of years that you haven't won a playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody seemed, even the Vikings have gone and won a couple games here and there. I mean,
Yeah.
that means the Bears have too. I mean, you can't even make the playoffs, and wow.
Yeah, Tiffany says, I don't get into football too much, but I'm all for the Lions, all for the underdogs. Yeah, that was great to see. I also had this one wrong. I had the Rams winning, but it looks like it could have gone either way. But I think I've said it on the show when we were talking about the Lions, that my favorite coach in the NFL is Dan Campbell for the Lions. That dude is awesome. He is so passionate. I love that guy. All right, the next one is Bills and Steelers. That was last night's game. I think the Bills scored 21 points right off the top. It was a 21-0, so it seemed like it was going to be a blowout. But then the Steelers came back and had like a 17-3 run. It was 24-17 midway through the fourth quarter. It says 31-17. That is the final score, but it was a lot closer than that. What was your biggest surprise or takeaway from that game?
Yeah, the Steelers didn't play very well. They could have played a lot better. I mean, he threw it. I only watched the first quarter of that game and then had a meeting, but he threw a pick in the end zone. They fumbled twice. I mean, they had 3 turnovers in like the first quarter. So that's going to hurt a team, and they stay that close after 3 turnovers in one quarter is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, my biggest, the governor came out because that game was flex, not even flex, it was moved to the next day, and the governor came out and said, nope, we're not moving this again, because there was talk about moving it again. And they didn't, and apparently like they were giving $20 an hour for people to come in and just shovel all the stands. So the fact that they actually played that game,
pay the ticket and they had to sit in like big piles of snow. I mean,
how cool is that?
That's just, I mean, it's cool, but it also is
stupid.
Gotta be cold.
I don't know why every NFL stadium isn't a dome at this point. I mean, come on, that's so dumb. All right, Eagles and Buccaneers. Eagles went into the playoffs a really cold streak. They lost like 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6, something like that.
5 out of 6.
But I also had the Eagles winning because I just couldn't believe that they would. Come on, you're still They started 10-1 in the season, like they're gonna win, right? What was your biggest takeaway?
Tampa or surprise? Bay is a good team. I mean, they're just a hard-working blue-collar team. It seems like, and I love them. I think that's awesome.
Me too. My biggest surprise from that is I didn't listen to my own logic. As you and I know, we did this with the Lakers last year in the NBA playoffs. The team that's the hottest going in typically does well at the very beginning of the playoffs. Right. And Eagles went in just horribly cold, right? Losing 4 or 5 or 5 out of 6. I should have, not gone with my gut and just used my brain and gone, well, that means they're probably going to lose that first round. Right. So my biggest surprise was the fact that I didn't use logic. I just used my gut to predict that one. Which leads us to the last one. Packers and Cowboys. Packers win 48-32, and folks, it wasn't that close.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I mean, that was just a blowout. What was your biggest surprise?
That it was 28-0 until the end of the second quarter, and they scored in the last second of the quarter to make it 28-7. I mean, to score 21 points in the first quarter was crazy, or 20, whatever. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, they were on fire. I don't know if they can beat San Francisco, but, man, they're going to put up a fight.
Thing is, if they do, they got a great shot at winning the Super Bowl this year. And how nuts would that be? Jordan Love's first year.
Packers, Detroit to go to the Super Bowl.
Just saying, how awesome would that be? Well, no, Packers and Lions wouldn't both go. So they would be playing each other in the
to go to the Super Bowl. But if they both win this, they got to play each other.
Yes, they do. They do. I mean, yeah.
2 NFC teams to go to the. No one picked the Packers or the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. Come on.
Unless you're a Packers fan.
Right.
Nobody would have picked that. Right.
There's people that have, and there are people that do. But the real sports people, I mean, those are just true fans that say, my team's going to go all the way.
Yeah. Well, my biggest surprise there was actually the same from the Eagles-Buccaneers. I didn't use my own logic because opposite of the Eagles, the Packers went in on fire. They won like 4 to the last 6 or 5, 4 to 5, something like that going into the playoffs. Yeah, if I just applied the logic, I would have picked the Packers. But I was still sold, like America was, on the Cowboys. And the Pack, come on, you can't actually win in Jordan Love's first playoff game. They were impressive.
The Cowboys hadn't lost in 2 years at home. That's crazy. I mean, and any time, any day, a team can win. But that was just crazy how you go into Dallas and just beat them. Man, they beat them. I
agree. Overall, though, I did write this down this morning. So I added up all the winning scores and all the losing team scores. In the first of the 6 games, the first round of the playoffs, the winning team scored 206 points. The losing team, 102 losing teams. So that comes out to the average score of the first round in playoffs was 34-17, which is literally double. Hopefully we don't see that again in the second round, because if this continues, NFL may have a problem. We can't have that many blowouts. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, but people love scoring, so
we do.
But only if you're on the one side.
But a little bit closer score, right? I don't mind if it's 45-38, then fine. Or the Packers game, great. But there are a lot of these that were blowouts, and this is the playoffs. What?
Yeah. Just shows you got to keep the pedal on the gas all the time.
Yeah, and you never know. All right.
Didn't do, but
exactly. You know what? I didn't even write down. We should do our predictions at the end of the show.
Okay.
You know what? If we have time, we'll get to that. But we do have some extra serious stuff to talk about, which we'll get to in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
At Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
I forgot. Since you've been gone, they have a new commercial.
They do have a new commercial, and it worked that time too. It said,
I didn't like this one because Mike Schaefer's not in it.
Yeah, but the rest of the world does.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So you have been off for a couple of weeks. There was an article or a press release that you had issued. Our headline was "Tragic Collision Claims Life in Barron County's First Traffic Fatality of the Year." For people who didn't see that on your Facebook page or didn't see that on our website, what happened in that situation?
So there was it was a stop sign. Car went through a stop sign and struck another vehicle on that Tuesday, January 9th, about 7 p.m. And a 32-year-old female died. A 19-year-old male survived. He was just here with his dad to look at the car. He was lucky. His car held up very well, or his truck held up very well. He got lucky. In this case, this car started on fire after it hit, and people literally stopped and pulled people out of a car. We had sent some awards out, some coins out. This was truly someone driving by saying, "Oh my gosh, there's a crash," pulling a person out of a burning vehicle. It was, while the person passed away, this is the actions, the heroic actions that passerbyers do for law enforcement. And it was, it gave them a fighting chance. And that's all I can say. It was spectacular from what I've been told. And I was there, but not obviously during that time. But, and then everybody rendered aid like they're supposed to. And our fire departments are awesome. They worked hard. Our ambulance people, it's just a tragic accident. So the case is still in investigation by the State Patrol. They actually wrote the accident. We handled the press release on the scene. It was our first fatality of the year. Hope it's our last. Probably won't be. Everybody needs to buckle up, drive safe, watch for stop signs. Don't drink and drive. All them things got to go into play while we do this.
Yeah, is this so? We've talked about this before, like firefighters and cops. Like if you're a gunshot, 99% of the world will run, the other direction. If there's a fire, 99% of the world will run for safety. But there's that 1% that runs towards the noise, runs into the fire, which is just crazy. And these are our firefighters and our cops. I would assume, and I'm just assuming here, that you probably wouldn't want to encourage people to, like passersby, hey, risk your own life and go into that fire and try to get them out. That's probably not smart. Let the professionals do it. At the same time, when they do it, you use the great word. It's very heroic.
It is. Went dark.
That hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah.
You gotta start moving around, wave your hands and stuff.
My winter jacket must be blocking it. It's cold out there. I had to buy get a bigger jacket.
Yeah. So it's when we look back at this now, and it's like, wow, that was incredibly heroic. At the same time, they're putting their personal lives in jeopardy to do that. So it's heroic. However, what kind of advice do you give people when they do this? Obviously you can say, hey, that was very heroic, but don't do that again. Where's the balance there?
All you have to make sure is before you take any action is 911 has been called. That's the number one thing you have to make sure of, because, you don't want to say I ran in the house and then we don't know who's in there, what's in there. I mean, we're not going to tell you to do that. The dispatcher's probably going to tell you don't do that.
Right.
But it's your gut, your feeling, you know who you are, you know your capabilities. But smoke can overtake somebody very quickly. We train our cops not to just run into a burning. That's what firemen are for. A fireman's going to tell you. I know cops have done it. I know people have done it. But, the smoke can overtake you very, very quickly, no matter how tough you think you are. So you have to just make sure 911 has been called first. Sometimes you're the only one there and your reaction is to run and help, but make sure you stop and dial 911. I mean, it's no different than when someone goes down, anything goes through the ice. You got to make sure 911 gets called before you run and grab a rope, before you do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah. You had mentioned two things. One I wrote down, but I don't know if it was the word awards or something, but also coins. So talk more about that if you would. So you had said that you had given some of these out.
Yeah, this isn't one, but I mean, we give away a challenge coin like that to people that do special things for us. Anybody that helps set a scene, our deputies carry one for themselves and they always carry one to give away. And then we have extra here when they give it away. We usually send a little thank you saying thank you for helping us direct traffic, or thank you for helping do whatever. And, and my captain had sent some coins out to some of the people that had stopped and helped and do it all they could. I know there's like 108 comments on Facebook, and, some of them are pretty negative, and we've got to get away from that.
I'm sorry, about what?
Just why did she run through the stop sign? Why did this happen? Why did everybody's got an opinion about something. And we need to stop having less opinions and just support more and love more and do better. We just can't have so many comments. And that's what Facebook has done to us. Pretty soon we're going to have to put posts out there and not put any comments, but we show support for family. A lot of people do that. Even one of the witnesses that helped did that, said, prayers to all involved, including our first responders. And I think some of our first responders need that encouragement. Our first responders aren't our volunteer firemen, are regular people that don't do this and on a regular basis and these are very tragic scenes. I mean, they're not fun scenes to be at. Those medical guys and gals in that ambulance were working hard for 25 minutes, just sweating, trying to do everything they possibly can. And then they have to stop. And that sucks for everybody. So we need to have more compassion in the world. And that's my goal for 24.
Amen. And I have no problem if people have their opinions and their views. And I know you don't either. We've talked about this offline and during these shows. But maybe also it's important to understand where you're posting those comments. So if you want to share that from your Facebook page to your own personal Facebook page and then comment on that stuff on your own page, I have zero problem with that. Mm-hmm. But when you're doing it on the sheriff's office's Facebook page, I mean, come on. Just, again, have a little more compassion, because there was a death here. Say something positive or constructive, and not just blindly, I support law enforcement all the time. I mean, it's important. You hold your employees accountable. Media holds employees. That's how it's supposed to work. But this isn't an accountability issue here. And since we don't really know everything, the Wisconsin State Patrol has not finished, as far as I know. They're reconstructing the scene and all of that stuff. But, there's somebody that died here, and these are young people. I think the deceased was
32.
30-something, right?
32, yeah.
Yeah, that's way too young.
Yep.
Well, I suppose any age. Well, I'm just saying.
Right. Any age. But I know what
yeah.
And, when we put up the sex offender ones, they're really bad. I mean, it gets to the point where people get deleted automatically. I mean.
I know.
And we all can think it, just don't say it. It's just sometimes it's better.
Yeah, have a filter.
Have a filter, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the next one is under our press releases and articles portion of the show. We had an insider story. I think we put it up this weekend. I think Saturday maybe. Our headline was "Man Facing Burglary Charges in Barron County Arrested in Missouri." I had a little, just kind of the intro to our story. I believe this was involved with a 70-year-old victim that was zip-tied, tasered by burglars. The intro to our story says that an arrest warrant issued in Barron County Circuit Court for a Minnesota man wanted on felony charges, including armed robbery and burglary of an elder victim, has resulted in his arrest in Missouri. Ryan Charpentier, age 33 of Little Cannon, Minnesota, is charged with burglarizing the home of an elderly victim in Barron County, Wisconsin in December. An extraditable warrant for Carpentier's arrest was issued along with numerous felony charges. An online record shows that on January 8th, he was booked into jail in Callaway County, Missouri, on the Barron County warrant. Obviously, there's a lot that you probably can't get into, but for people who aren't familiar with that story, and after this, I kind of like to understand, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, how does that extradition process work? But what can you tell us about this?
This is a Barron PD case who did a wonderful job on this to get some justice here, and we'll start to see, hopefully, that justice. I mean, these are alleged crimes, but he is in custody. One of the suspects is in custody. There's another suspect out there, and I believe that warrant is issued or was issued, and I don't know the whole story.
Sure.
And so I'm not going to comment on the case at all because it's not my case, but
Sure.
Chief Joe Vierkant and Will Dexter and some of my team did help with that at Joe's request. And that's why we're here to assist. I mean, we have some expertise that we can do some things, but the Barron Police Department did a majority of this and did a heck of a job to bring justice here and hopefully bring justice here. And we'll get this guy back here. But yeah, an extraditable warrant means our district attorney did a warrant, went to a judge, one of our Barron County judges, and said, yep, this guy is bad. He's a suspect in this crime. He can be arrested for it based on the probable cause. And I think this crime is so bad that any place he's picked up in the United States, he's got to come back to Barron County and see me. That's what the judge says. It's like a note. You can go to the principal's office. This is a note saying wherever you are in the world, not the world, in the United States, you need to come back to Barron County and see me. And so he was arrested in Missouri. Don't know how he was arrested, why he was arrested, anything about that. I know there's no local charges. That's all I know. He has waived extradition. Then you have to have an extradition hearing, which means if I think, no, I'm not going back to Barron County, I never want to go back to Barron County, then he has the right to say, I don't want to. And then a judge in Missouri says, no, the judge in Barron County is right. There's probable cause. You have to go back to Barron County. I'm waiving your extradition and you can't fight it. And you have to come back to Barron County.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you can choose to do that as the suspect. He can choose, the bad guy here can choose to say, I waive, I want to go back to Barron County and face my charges, I'm wrong, or I don't want to. And then a court case has to take place down there. Now he's waived. I've been given 10 days to go get him. We hire a company.
I was just going to ask, who pays for this? And is it a deputy that goes? Or okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't. The taxpayers of Barron County pay for it. Yeah, and we can't send him a bill for this, which sucks. So it's like our SWAT team. We've argued that for years. If a SWAT team goes out on a call, you should have to pay for that SWAT team. It doesn't work that way. We need to change the law, Romaine. Let's change it and say, hey, if you get extradited on a warrant, you get found guilty, you got to pay for the transport. Not that we'll get it, but maybe we will. Maybe he's got a lot of money. I have no idea. So yeah, we pay a company. It looks like we're going to pay a company. My captain was just here before the show and said he got this estimate, and I said pay it because we have to send two guys, spend the night in a hotel, and they have a company that drives a van around and does this for a living.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they pick up prisoners. So
that's really.
It might take a week to get him back here, but he's got to come back here, and he might stop at 10 other jails and pick up people and drop off people, and you might go from Missouri to Chicago, back to northern Minnesota, and then over to Barron County. So it's not a fun ride in a van.
I can't imagine. And especially knowing what you're going to be walking into when you get back.
Right.
So then I'm assuming, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, and this is all getting wonky. I was going to say, then assume when he comes back, if he lives somewhere else. Now, I don't know if that individual lives in Missouri. And it doesn't even have to be this specific case, just anyone from another state. Maybe just driving through and got pulled over and like, hey, there's a warrant for your arrest. But then they would, if that person gets released, they come in and they have their initial pairing and bonds and et cetera. Yeah, then they're going to have to, if they got bust here, then it's, well, now what? Now I got to figure out how to get back home.
Right. And in this case, I assume it's going to be a very high cash bond because of the severity of the case. Yeah. And he may end up staying in jail. I would guess he doesn't have money to pay a I would hope it's a $25,000 cash bond.
Ooh, I'm writing that down. So then,
and it should be maybe even more. I might be underestimating myself on this one, but, I'd love to see him pay for the trip, but that's not how it works. It's going to cost the taxpayers of Barron County $3,000 to go get this guy.
Here's an interesting, I guess, comment. Why is this not working again? Oh, God. All right. I think some bad guys think they can come to rural areas and get away with things. What are your thoughts on that? Have you noticed that? Do you have any opinion on that? That's very interesting, Tiffany.
Yeah, no, I think she's exactly right. We've shown the world how Barron County and northern Wisconsin come together for incidents.
Yeah, because if you're like a Chicago or Gary, Indiana, maybe it's even drugs. Like I just go up there, it's a stupid, backwards redneck. I'm sure they all think that cops are like Barney Fife or something. They all got like one bullet and it's in their pocket, and and it's you'll be surprised actually.
And I think we'll be able to talk a little bit more about this case. I got some opinions about this case, but okay. I'm gonna let her go right now because, but I think Tiffany makes a very good point. We are going to work super hard day and night to make this case happen. That's what happened here on Barron PD's behalf. They did an excellent job to get this wrapped up into my opinion, into a bow, tied a ribbon on it so that it's a done deal for the DA's office. I don't think it's going to be very hard to prosecute. I don't think if he takes it to trial, I think the jury is going to convict him. Just on my opinion and very limited knowledge, very limited I know about this, but that's how we do all of our cases in Barron County. Tiffany's exactly right. This isn't this guy happened and this guy, he's probably not from the area, so we're not going to work on it. No, I think hours were spent looking at video and finding a route and looking at different.
Making sure the district attorney has a winnable and prosecutable and winnable case.
They just the work that went in just to ID these subjects. Some of that is in the criminal complaint that went into just IDing the suspects.
Yeah, we had it was a very long insider story that we did on this after we got the criminal complaint. It was incredible, absolutely incredible.
It was, and that's the police work that you're going to get when you commit a crime in Barron County, at least any county in northwest Wisconsin, in my opinion. So we're not just these two bad guys came over from Minnesota and we're scared. We're not scared, and we're gonna find you. We're gonna catch you. So stay over there and do your crimes, because if you come over here and our bond's gonna be higher, our jails aren't gonna be as nice. Right. This isn't a fun time here. So. Our jails are smaller. Smaller jails have less opportunities. So, and when you commit a crime in Barron County, well, he's going to go to prison when he's convicted, so it doesn't really matter. But, it'll be interesting. The bond will be very interesting. The cash bond on this case will be very interesting. It's either going to raise eyebrows or people are going to be like, yeah, that's how we do it in Barron County.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me either. Well, it should be.
I can't remember. I didn't have the whole story up in front of me. I just printed off the first part, but I always put in at the end when the next court appearance is. I don't remember what it is. I don't have it up in front of me.
Have one yet. We don't know when he'll be back here.
Okay.
So, we just hired that company today.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And they have to go get him, and then he has to be back here, and then he can be held for so many days before he has to see a judge. It's no different than being arrested for any crime. So his time doesn't start until he gets here, no matter if he's been in custody down there, etc. So his time will start when he gets here.
Going back to that coin, I don't know why I just thought of this. The coin and the word you give, people that are doing heroic things, and then you give them a coin and some recognition. Mm-hmm. Here's my suggestion.
Okay.
And I'm half joking, but mostly joking. On the back of that coin, it should be a get out of one speeding ticket for free. Like get out of jail free card in Monopoly, except get out of one speeding ticket for free. I think then you'd have even more people helping out. So when you have this coin and you get pulled over for doing, whatever, as long as you're not causing any injuries, you can show this and it's have a nice day. That's what you should do. Or like 20% off a speeding ticket.
The courtesy card in New York City Police Department, I think it's a made up thing, but I have no idea. But, I'm
just saying.
No, not going to happen. Just thank you for what you do.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Sorry.
Suzette says Minnesota is an easier state to get by with crime. Yeah, I don't know it to be true. I don't know how that works.
What he's about to find out.
Yeah,
Oh, is that out loud? Dang it! I keep forgetting I'm live.
yeah, that's right. Have a good day. Oh yeah, there's Brian.
You too, Brian.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, and Renee, she knows my T-shirt. My occasional adult. My daughter Annalise got this for me for Christmas or birthday, something. Yeah, so I told her to wear it on one of the shows.
Same day.
Oh, that's right. That's why I never know. Is it a birthday or I can't remember? It's been the same day. All right, so I also have one other thing. Since you have been off, you were off last week. Thankfully, Mike Schaefer filled in. But during that time, we have talked about this 4 or 5 times in the show. We had an article we posted. Sam Lawton emerges as sole contender for Barron County judge in unopposed bid. Are you surprised? There were at least 5 people that I know of applied for the Barron County judgeship after Mike Bitney announced his retirement. We've had numerous conversations about this. So we're not going to rehash how we got here. But are you surprised that only one person? Like, now I'm not even saying the other or those 5 people that did apply originally to get appointed, but I mean like anybody. I mean, I'm sure there's like somebody else that maybe have wanted it but didn't want to go through that process to get appointed. Are you surprised there's only one person?
Yeah, I am. I mean, no, I'm really not. I'm really not surprised because being a lawyer, making your own schedule, making that amount of money is a lot. I don't want to say it's less work than being the judge, but I assume you take a pay cut and you got to have more strict hours. When I'm a attorney, if I'm at Sam Lawton's law firm in Spooner and it's Tuesday and it's 95 degrees out, he's like, I'm going to the beach. I'm the lawyer and I'll just cancel my appointments today. Right. You can't do that when you're the Barron County judge. So you lose a lot of, I mean, everybody says I'm the sheriff. I can just take any day off I want. Yeah, that just doesn't usually work out that way. I mean, you can.
Well,
but
there
it
are some.
help you at elections. It doesn't help you manage your staff.
Right.
It doesn't help you, become a better leader. All of those things go in now. I'm not saying you should never take off, but yeah, no. So I think being a judge is you have to do it for the right reasons. You have to want to be a judge to make a difference in your community, etc. Being a cop, being a social worker, being, different things. You don't do this for the paycheck. I mean, I do it. I mean, I
don't know. Judges are in the 6 figures. It's not a bad gig. And you're a judge.
Not, but think about being a lawyer and how they're always in 6 figures and they can work when they want.
Are they the local ones? I don't know. And I get the autonomy aspect of it. Right. Like you set your own schedule. You can take certain cases as a judge. You don't get to really necessarily pick. I mean, you could recuse yourself from something, but there's some travel that goes into it. Some late nights if there's deliberation. Right. The judge actually has to stay there. That's my understanding, because they have to stay there until midnight, sitting in there just going, come on, folks, to wait to see, okay, can you actually get a verdict? Okay, fine, we'll come back tomorrow. But they're going to stay there all night, too. So it isn't all, rainbows and puppies. I get that, but still, if you do a good job, that's your career ender. Like, you don't go typically from a judge to something else.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I think, you go up higher courts.
I suppose. Yeah, but most people don't. I'm just saying, it's a really good gig is my point. I understand what your point making. Oh. Yeah, right. I understand your point making that it could be for someone and maybe not. Maybe in private practice you're doing better financially or et cetera, whatever else. But still, I'm still a little bit surprised that only one person actually applied. Or I'm sorry, that actually filled out the paperwork to run it. Well, there you go. The only one person actually turned in their paperwork. I was a little surprised. I thought it would at least be like one other person going, screw it, might as well. Apparently not. So
no, and Sam's going to would have been a hard guy to beat, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think he's done a good job. We're very excited to have Sam. Wish they'd appoint him sooner. Now I might understand there might be you can't appoint during election cycle. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out that rule. I mean, but
they're all over the place.
He needs to get appointed so we can move on in life now.
Yeah, because if he gets, assuming, a write-in candidate for judgeship is almost unheard of in terms of having a chance to win. So that's what, April 2nd?
Yeah.
April 4th? April 2nd, or whatever, first Tuesday in April. The election. So it would be August something when he would start.
Right.
So that would be September, August, September. That's 11 months.
Right.
Almost a year without a job. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, still, good luck too. We should have, I think I talked to Sam or in an email or maybe on the phone, something after this announcement, and just want to let him know I was going to be running something like this, just the fact that he's the only one going to be on the ballot, and asked if he wanted to come on for a show sometime. I didn't specify, like, with our show. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, having a future. I don't know if that's good. We had John Yackel on our show. I think it would be fine. Like, we're not going to say, like, how are you going to do this and how are you going to, it's, you know.
How are you going to rule?
Right. I don't think we'd probably talk about that necessarily. So, yeah, maybe we'll have him on for a show coming up.
Yeah, that's up to him, and I don't know the rules on that. And
I don't either.
Make any waves, but no, like I've always said, we have a great relationship with our judges. I talk to our judges all the time.
Yep.
Happy to have Sam come aboard. It's going to be awesome for us. We want our third judge back. I know Sam will uphold the law. That's all I ask. No matter what side it is, I know he'll uphold it and follow the evidence, and I'm not worried about it at all.
Yep. And it's helpful that you have your county with 3 judges or 3 opening or positions of judges, which means he's walking in where he has 2 other essentially mentors. And maybe that's the wrong word to use, maybe not mentors, but he does have 2 other judges that have a lot of experience, not just in Marion County, but just as judges. Like the first time judge, like Angie Witten here, she went from a DA to appointed to Washburn County judge. You're the only one.
Right.
And it's almost like when you become sheriff. And I know they send you to what I always call baby sheriff school or baby judge school. Right? They send you for a week and just some basics. But there really isn't an actual guideline. Here's how you'd be a sheriff. There's no, like, you're 2 weeks in and somebody asks you questions like, hold on, let me get the SOP manual, the Standard Operating Procedures Manual on how to be a sheriff. Right. There isn't one. And there isn't one for a judge either. So you go from a DA or an attorney to a judge. Obviously, we have the basic understanding of law, duh. But there really isn't, anything. So going into a single judge county, I think that presents significantly more challenges. So it's nice that he's going into a system that he can just walk down the hall or pick up a phone and call another judge, and just having that ability to do that, I think, is going to be great.
Yeah, it'd be a dream. I mean, if I was a sheriff and there was another sheriff in the next room right over there, it'd be great. So, I mean, we depend on each other. We work close together, but it's you got to have a phone call and return it. Well, I can take, when I want to see the judge, he's on the phone. I walk downstairs, do one thing, walk back up. He's usually off the phone, and we can talk. So
that's nice. So
it's just a lot easier. So, no, congratulations to Sam. He'll be a great asset to Barron County, and we're happy to have him.
Yeah, and we're running out of attorneys now, like the attorney. Because he had an office in Spooner and I think Barron too, right?
I don't know. He practiced in Barron. I don't know where his office
or something like that.
He practiced.
Yeah, we're running out of Mac Kirkpatrick's stop. He's now ADA. I can't remember what county's in it. Yeah. We're I can't believe I'm saying it out loud, but we're running out of lawyers. That's really weird. All right. Well, that's all I had written down. Is there anything else before we kind of get into what's coming up, before we get our weather update? Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to?
It's been quiet. The cold weather helps with that. It's just naturally more quiet because people are inside. That there wasn't a lot of domestics or anything. That's our other concern when people get, held up in the house together. They get tired of each other quickly. But I think the holidays helped and it worked out. And it's going to be warm next week. And so just let's get through this week of cold snaps. Check on your neighbors when it's cold.
Yeah. What happened? Is there anything with? Have you had this cold weather? Any calls about dogs or animals outside? Either not necessarily complaints, but do you guys get a lot more of those? And maybe they are complaints. Like, hey, my neighbor's dog is outside, and what the frick? It's 20 below.
Dogs
do you guys get more of this?
So it's not illegal. It's not as long as the dog's cared for, has water, shelter. Doesn't even have to have shelter, but it should. I mean, but dogs love to be outside. Some dogs do, some dogs don't. I mean, so it's not illegal.
Yeah, know your dog. I mean,
you got to know your dog. So.
We had an outside dog growing up. It was a big, it was a mutt, like I can't remember what it was. And so they'd leave like the garage, and it's super, super cold. They'd leave the garage door open a little bit so he could get in there, and there was a blanket and stuff in the garage. But it's still cold, but at least you're out of the wind. But he was fine. It could be 10, 20 below, and it's no problem. Like none at all.
They don't care. It's
right, but there's other dogs that it's, like these little tiny Yorkshire. Yeah, don't leave that dog outside. It weighs like 4 pounds. It's going to be. So, know your dog.
Right, know your dog.
Oh, see, my chinchillas can handle 2 minutes. That's exactly right. There you go. You got like 2 minutes and it's no. They walk outside and go, turn around, come back in.
Right.
Yeah, know your dog. All right, so here's the forecast. The official forecast from Dirk is cold the rest of the week. Highs 0 to 5, lows -5 to 0. Warmer temps for the end of the weekend, and to kick off next week, highs in the upper teens and low 20s for Sunday. No big winter storms in sight, so it looks like no snow in sight. Some cold weather this week, but warming up a little bit. But, it's also middle of January.
Next Tuesday, they're saying 38 degrees. That's
I don't know.
just
Unless Dirk says it's going to be 38 degrees, I'm not believing it.
I think it's going to be. Next week looks like a great week to be outside. So the problem is,
outside, it's still 30s. Yeah. It's like, great way to go outside.
Right. He'll probably do a roof next week if it's 30 degrees somewhere. He'll be like, let's do it. Go ahead.
Well, Dirk says that might happen. 38 next week. It might. He didn't say yes. Now you got to believe Dirk. He's the official guy. He's the official weatherman of Dryden Wire. He is. Well, for our show, he is our official. And honestly, follow his page. Go to, no kidding. He all his updates. I love seeing those things on his Facebook page. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out. I have 3 birthdays in our family coming up this week. This Thursday is my mom Diane's birthday, and also on Thursday is my daughter Annalise's 21st birthday. So I want to say happy birthday to both of them. And then my sister on the 22nd, next Monday, it's her birthday. So we have 3 birthdays in our family this week. So happy birthday to Diane, Daisy, and Annalise. There you go. There you go. Happy birthday to everybody. Yeah. You had a big party for your mom on Sunday, huh? No, it really wasn't a big party. Yeah, I put it on my Facebook page. I just decided, instead of getting, I don't know, a dozen roses or something, which I normally wouldn't do for my mom for her birthday. That's weird. You don't give roses to your mother. It's kind of odd. But, it's like $100 for that. We went down. That's another one to give a shout out to, Dollar Tree in Spooner. Yeah. So I went down. I'm like, I needed 30 of those blow-up balloons, the things that with the helium. And I walked in and like, I want a balloon with the helium. I'm like, okay. Which one? I'm like all of them. It's like, what do you mean all of them? Like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 of them. I don't know. And no kidding, I really thought that the person was going to respond, really? She was fantastic. And everyone there was fantastic. I explained what I was trying to do, just have a whole bunch of balloons on the ground and all the other ones blown up. And they were so nice. They're like, oh, this is great. And by the way, my birthday's coming up soon. They said, if you want to do this again. But they were great. Said, yeah, no problem. Give us, an hour and come back, and then we'll have them all bagged up. So they blew them all up, did all this stuff. I mean, just saying, I would be like, oh, you kidding me? It's like somebody comes in and orders 30 cheeseburgers at McDonald's. It's frick. I've done that before. Right. And you're going to get that reaction sometimes of, but they were fantastic. So perfect. Huge shout out to the team at Dollar Tree in Spooner. There you go. Yeah, so we had a nice Bible study. We're surrounded by like 75 balloons. There you go. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, what are you up to this week? Trying to stay warm. Got a couple talks. Got a meeting talk tonight I'm doing online through a Cumberland women's group on everything going on in the world. So got some meetings, and that's about it this week. So Cumberland women's group? Yep. I'm sure there's a better name for it. Oh, I thought that was literally the name of it. I'm like, that's... Oh, it is. It's called the Cumberland Women's Club meeting tonight at 6:30 online. Yeah. Oh, that's right, because there's men's groups too, isn't there? Yeah. Huh? There's men's groups, right? Oh, yeah, sure. There's a men's club. Men's club, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, men's club. Women's group. There you go. Women's group. I like that better. I like group better than club. Great bunch of ladies. I've done a talk there for years. I do a talk every January to them. So that's what I'll be doing tonight, and then just going to meetings this week, and that's about it. Awesome. All right, cool. Hey, thanks. All right. Good seeing you back, by the way. Yeah, thanks. I'll be back next week. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience as locally owned and operated business, provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Give Brian a call today. See what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy and I are taking a 6-day, 23-hour, and 15-minute break until next week's show, of course. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.